Hey guys, this is a quick behind the scenes look at what we're doing. We're going to be going on WCPT 820 live in about a minute 30 here, but just to show you, we got Sean Allen, myself, Raza Siddiqui. We got a guest coming up. This is again us exercising our ability to try to do things remote. Sean, if you can hear me on that end, tell us about our guest and what's going on.
I can hear you. It sounds good.
It sounds good.
We got a good show.
We got a good show. We got Eric
We're going to talk about kind of the craziness in these schools, and what the lockdown has kind of been to everybody, including the educators. Most, I think, for all the schools around the country, especially in Illinois.
Well, I'll tell you, as a stepfather of three, to be able to have to put up with them on a full-time basis, it gives me a new appreciation of what the teachers are out there doing, and it really, you always hear the teachers are out there doing the best they can. It really gives you an appreciation when you're put in a situation where you become that pseudo teacher. So I'm sure we'll talk about that. I'll go over some of my frustrations and how I should probably learn to cope with some of that better. Sean, what are you going to ask?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just want to say,
what I don't want to see,
obviously, there's a lot to
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Life on the grind. Raza Siddiqui with remotely my guest. It has, and it's strange how that happens because I'll tell you this. When you are in studio with someone, you have a different type of chemistry, and when you're separated, you got to learn how to make that work, which is funny because when you're with the family, there's a separate type of chemistry, except for when you're all put together, and you got to figure out how to make that work. So tell me, Sean, as a bachelor, you must be having a lot of fun, right? Quarantine and chill, is that what you do?
Very boring. Very boring. I mean, we're all kind of stuck at home. It's been definitely draining mentally, and financially. I know a lot of people were essential workers. A shout out to all of our essential workers. I mean, it's crazy to think how important workers are every day. I think a lot of people take it for granted. The importance of working people day in and day out.
Well, and I got to say, a shout out to the families who support the working essential workers as well, because every time they go out there, as a news photographer myself, I wonder, what am I bringing back potentially to the family? And the family knows you're out there doing what they got to do. But I got to give another shout out to the people who are working from home, who are trying to make the best that they can. I know Sarah Sadat, my wife, who sometimes produces, co-hosts with us, works from home, and that's no easy task when you're basically now a worker from home, but also a babysitter, a teacher, coordinator of schedules. I mean, there's a lot going on there. It's a new generation of what people have to get used to, and we're getting through this together, right? We're learning how to get through this.
Well, the good thing is in nature. We all adapt very well. We all so I mean, you know what? These are tough times for tough people, and we're all going to come out of this stronger. And that it's coming out June 1st, back to some sort of normal.
Well, and that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. I mean, what do you think the whole mentality of people is going to be if this is prolonged at all? We've heard from the mayor and the governor about plans to go into phase 3 where we can get out of the house. I mean, are people even going to abide if it goes longer, if you're entering the summer months? I know, Sean, you and I have discussed what it's like in Chicagoland. There's a couple of months that you really appreciate the city, you appreciate the surrounding community, that, maybe you do it in the winter, but it's just not the same. To try to keep people locked up and those locked up, it's going to be an easy sell.
Well, I think Chicago in general, you have 9 months a year. So when we get summer, summer matters a lot. I mean, we get excited. You schools, the lakes, the boat. We don't have that luxury of some of these other weather year round. So I understand. I don't blame them. They're seeing summer in front of them. We've already lost festivals. We lost concerts, sports. Parade shut down. So I really feel for a lot of people graduating high school. It's definitely a lot of downtime, and I want everyone to hang in there. And I really hope
spend some time outside with.
Well, you were talking about the Midwest. You're right. It's a beautiful season that we're coming on to, but around the Midwest, other states are looking to open. You've heard about Wisconsin's challenge to the governor's orders, entering into some openings. I mean, what do you think, Sean? How much longer? In general, I mean,
I mean, I think we've seen it. I think we see what people are doing.
Michigan, they're charging
the capital.
Guns.
I know Wisconsin. I heard was so proud.
They ran out of beer. People they're anxious to get back to life. So I mean, I think people are fired up.
And I don't agree with it,
but I get it. Because I'll tell you this: my little 8-year-old, I saw her walking out the house with a Liberate Illinois sign. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, whoa. Hold on now. I'm telling you. I mean, people are getting into a position where understand what the governor's trying to do. We got to live our lives, and where's that doing his job right now?
Yeah, he's in a tough position.
And, I have a lot of respect for JB.
State is in a tough situation. Before he was elected, it's in an even harder position now that he is elected, and he's doing everything he can. For the betterment of working people. But at the same time, like there has to be small businesses that are closing, and these people that are hurt financially. You gotta get this sport again. And again, luckily that are still working, but at the same time, honor these essential workers. To be honest, we're all just kind of slaves to capitalism. I mean, they're doing their job because they're forced to do their job, because if they're not making money, they're not going to survive. I think over 50% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. So it's kind of a tough situation that a lot of people are in. A lot of Americans are forced to go to work to provide for their families, and also putting that same family on the risk of this COVID. Obviously, in America and in America,
and a lot of people,
Chicagoland, Illinois area,
Sean, I got to ask you. I'm going to ask you the businesses that support. What are some of the businesses you're going to patronize when all this is over? Because I can tell you, for any of our people watching on our Facebook Live feed, my barber, my hair. That's the person I'm missing. He gets more love letters than my wife. What about you, Sean?
Today is 9 weeks that I bought soda, which is my go-to. So I definitely am going to be going to a bar. Finding any bar area. So
it's funny you say that. I was actually talking to some of my neighbors from a responsible 6-foot distance, and we were talking about we have it's kind of this like frozen ice truck that goes around, and they had mentioned in Texas now there's this frozen tequila truck that's going on, and I was like, I bet you that would make a killing. And I'm not talking about Illinois, I'm talking about just in my neighborhood, dealing with my 3 kids and the wife. Wife's lovely, let me tell you, because she's sitting not too far away from me. But yeah, I'm telling you, I'm giving you ideas of other businesses that have kind of taken this opportunity to kind of reinvent themselves and adapt.
Yeah, it's all these small businesses gotta keep them going. It's sad to see a lot of bars close and restaurants shut down and small clothing stores. It's just so hard. But I do try to tell people patronize these places online. Order something. The business. Obviously, everyone's struggling. Themselves financial. Hard to tell people that are in struggle to go spend more money on businesses. You really look the importance of just the everyday worker. And in America, the everyday worker doesn't get enough respect. And obviously, as you know, it's important to push a union message to provide a good lifestyle for all people. And I hope when we come out of this, that everybody really respect and understanding just the everyday life the way it is. Workers, people working at Starbucks, all people. We don't want to pay. We want our coffee.
Definitely want our coffee.
Shopping, and we want to live a lifestyle. But the only way to have all these hardworking men and women out there providing and giving us what we need. And I have nothing but the utmost respect. I hope when we move out of this, everybody can stop calling them essential and calling them heroes.
And start paying them
some real wages.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think a lot of times we don't even realize the implications that they are put in a situation like this. I was reading an article in the newspaper the other day that said a lot of these people have become kind of the de facto enforcers of kind of the health regulations. A lot of these people who are working in grocery stores are the ones that have to and say, hey, could you put your mask on? For the better here. This isn't what they're doing. Sometimes a couple of times have ended up in customers and people who are videotaping God-given my right to decide what I want to do, which that's debatable in private establishment when you're out their property. But again, this isn't what these people are getting paid. People are getting paid to do a service, but they're having to step up and do this and basically and regulate and make sure that these situations are going through. And God bless you for doing that. God bless you for going out there working in a situation that's stressful to begin with, but then having to step up and fight these battles as well. And I know I salute you, and I'm pretty sure does as well.
Absolutely. We appreciate it, all of our essential workers. Like I said, I mean,
we're not calling them heroes.
We're not calling them heroes because I don't need COVID-19 scared to have.
And I can say I can't stress that people don't just look at them and okay, they are heroes. So now they are heroes. So now they're having a nice life. Get some pensions, some insurance for these people. I mean, it's like we're all there. For working men and women. Okay, well, they all want your cheers. Okay, well, they all want your cheers more. They want better wages. They want better wages. They want better guaranteed.
And I'd be remiss if we were talking about workers. We don't talk about all the people who are helping this program to get on air. Sean and I are able to remotely broadcast from the comfort and safety of our homes today with our working people who are in the radio station, people like Paul, Steve, and Devin, who are working hard to make sure we're kept on air. And this isn't just something in radio. You have radio, television, print journalism, people covering the situation out there and keeping us informed. So, again, thank you to all essential workers, including the ones who are keeping us on air and allowing you to listen to the message that we're giving.
Absolutely. And if anyone has any questions, like love and the grind, if you're live, you can ask any questions. Stay tuned. We do have the we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about 26 years as a councilwoman in 2019. Same year that SARS July 4. And just talk about. I mean, stay rising. You're a three children. I mean, scary and emotionally driven. Birthday party and nephews, a little this is emotionally taxing on these families that are just getting out of school, not seeing their friends, and they kind of feel this feel all these adults. I mean, moving forward.
Well, first of all, I got to say, God bless your sister and your brother-in-law, because dealing with it's no easy task. So I can only imagine what they're dealing with. But again, just to get them informed, educated, and engaged. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've heard, I'm so bored. If you're listening to this on WCPT, you can also call us at 773-763-9278. Make sure you weigh in on how this quarantine stay-at-home order has affected your life and the experiences you're going through. Because again, when we talk to Erica, I've got a lot of venting to do as well as trying to find out some tips on how to get through this. And Sean, as a bachelor, you're luckier now than ever. I'm sure you've got your own challenges and own questions that you want Erica to weigh in on.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'll be asking Erica is our single bachelorness, for sure.
And again, just a reminder, if you want to talk with Erica or just vent to Sean and I, you can do so at 773-763-9278. Sean Allen, Raza Siddiqui on Life, Love, and the Grind, working with you, helping you guys get through this process, just like we all are, trying to navigate it day at a time.
Yeah, it's definitely trying times. It's definitely something. It's definitely something. Like I say, I try to explain to everyone. Humans adapt well. We bounce back well. We'll all get to this. To all of our hardworking men and women working hard through this. America will bounce back. Like America will bounce back. Just kind of keep your composure. Keep your composure. God willing, June 1st is our way out and Jay state necessary that we can all start life. But I mean, this is definitely seriously. I never agree with the people on the people on right charging the capital. But I also don't agree with people never agree with people at all hiding under the bed or hiding under the bed. Please, Raza. Yeah, empowerment coaches, life coaches. What do they all say? It's
leave the house. Leave your family. How often do we hear, I wish I had more time to spend with my children, I wish I had more time to spend with my wife? Well, we're testing you on all this now, because I'll tell you this, it's not as easy as it sounded, but when it sounded, how much we had this, our own mental health, for the structure, the strength and stability of our family. Let's really take the opportunity to come out of this quarantine and stay-at-home order stronger and better for having experience in this situation. That's all we can do. That's all we can do.
There's really nothing else we can do. You can frustrate about it. You can kick in the shame. We're all in it together. You got to stay positive. You got to get active. You got to do the best that you can. And best that you can. For all of our Midwest, for all especially in Chicago area, summer, have a little enjoyment, some barbecues, and some Lord knows we got winners. Lord knows we got for all the Midwest people, but you gotta stay strong, stay strong, and stay positive.
Absolutely right. The state doesn't look to start opening. It doesn't look to start opening by June 1st. I'm getting my hair cut in Iowa. I'm getting my hair cut in states, which might not be the most popular. Come back, but they're like this. It doesn't grow on trees. It doesn't grow on trees.
That looks great.
Yeah, so it's going to be a good show. We're going to sit tight. We're going to Ray Parker in a little bit. Ray Parker, 26 years high school. She's 26 years high school, and she's elected trustee council there. She got elected to Lyle Village board and an IEA member. And change is kind of, I think, most of it's on my brain. I had a lot of people, and I think I like to hear from just kind of what's going on. What's look like with these schools? I mean, our kids going to all be wearing masks? Is everything going to be Zoom? Single parents trying to work, trying to teach your kids at home. I mean, a lot of what ifs and stuff, because not everyone has that. In the time where most have jobs, how do you have this where you teach your kids now every day? And you've probably seen it more than ever, because
it's funny. Like, I'll come down to work, and the little 8-year-old will be telling me, "Hey, Dad, keep it down. I'm on a teleconference." I'm like, what's she talking about? She's on teleconference. I'm learning now. They're so actively engaged in that time that they're talking with the teachers and getting a little bit of guidance. Sometimes the only piece you get in the house, they're paying attention. They're paying attention, because I can guarantee you they're not paying attention to me after they're on that teleconference. So again, what I'm looking for, when we talk to Erica, is getting these tips, learning how we can be more engaging and more able to communicate better with our children and speak to them at that level where they have that respect. I'm still hearing, well, your thing's wrong, Dad, because my teacher said, how do I get that level of authority? Or maybe they'll be like, okay, he might be like, okay,
you stay tuned, we're going to find out.
Like you were saying, Sean, there's two things that are really on my mind: education and also small business. So let's show you guys some of the businesses that we support. Paul?
Louis Kyer from GWC Engineering Lawyers. Now that cannabis is legal in Illinois, an understanding of the law and the risks associated with ingesting cannabis is critically important. Under the Cannabis Act, you can legally ingest marijuana only in a very limited number of places, not in public, not on government or school premises, and not even in your own condo or apartment if your landlord has a no smoking policy. A positive test is potentially lethal to your rights in 3 key areas: employment, work injuries, and driving. So if your employer has a zero tolerance drug and alcohol policy, you can be terminated if you fail a drug test, even though your cannabis consumption was legal. If you're hurt on the job and test positive for cannabis, the legal presumption is that your accident was caused in part because of the cannabis, and your workers' compensation rights can be totally denied. DUI laws have not changed. Impaired means impaired, and a DUI due to cannabis or alcohol can ruin your career. If you want to indulge in legal THC before you ingest, read up on your rights at gwclaw.com.
Megan Financial is an independent retirement and financial services firm dedicated to the working men and women of organized labor. Megan provides straightforward, custom-fit financial advice and specializes in defined benefit and defined contribution pension plans, as well as participant and retiree health and welfare benefits. Megan Financial has the knowledge and experience to navigate the union member through all phases of life. Call 708-444-1090.
Securities and advisory services offered through Cetera Advisors LLC, member FINRA, SIPC, a broker-dealer and registered investment advisor. Cetera is under separate ownership from any other named entity. Office location at 5321 South 94th Avenue, Orland Park, Illinois, 60462.
Well, looks like we're back, and looks like we have it. Caller was that question. Paul, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Who? All right. So, what's your question?
Well, I actually really didn't have a question. Well, I guess I did. Okay. First of all, I am a Chicagoan, longtime Chicagoan. I love your show. It's unfortunate we can't go to the theaters and such, but it is what it is. So my question is, there are so many different perspectives. Everybody's coming from their point of view. And I have relatives. One is a nurse, and she's working at a large Chicago hospital. Her husband's a Chicago police officer. I have a nephew who is a law enforcement officer as well. I have two relatives that have been our store associates working at two major stores during this entire time. And then recently a family member passed away, not in our immediate family, but someone passed away who had been in a nursing home for something else, and then he died from COVID-19. So here's the question. When I ask my relatives, these folks that are out in the front line, what do they think about folks who are bored or who are tired of being in their homes, et cetera, how do they feel that they're just going out there, ignoring social distancing, so on, and all the efforts that they have done, putting their lives at risk? What do you say about that?
What do they tell you?
Yeah. Well, the nurse obviously says, well, we'll see you in the hospital. She says. Or she'll say that, it's rather stupid of them not to at least observe distance, the social distancing, good hygiene, etc. He's seen it all.
Well, I think that leads to a lot of this frustration from people. And I think 90% of people they understand that Sean and I are frontline workers as well. We're going out there, we're doing our essential duties, and I can't thank your family enough for what they're doing, being on the front line in the medical establishment, for being out there preserving law while this is happening. I think what frustrates a lot of people is just, again, not knowing what they're doing. Part of the frustration is surrounding essential workers. Are their voices being listened to? Taking account and having them go on the record and testify what they believe. What are you hearing? What are you hearing from your family members? It is one of the questions I would have you to talk to, Maria, when you speak with them. But along with the people who are out there still making a difference while all this going on is the teachers. The teachers who have changed the technology, changed the way that they're doing things, but still are there for the students, still are there to preserve that sense of normalcy for them and help them walk them navigate them. My wife was making fun of me. I was wearing my Mr. Rogers shirt yesterday. And I was like, I remember whenever there were these times of crises, he would come out and kind of address to the young community what's going on, what it means. And it's not bad to show your feelings. It's not bad to show where you or even to show you're scared. And I applaud these teachers who, despite dealing with their own issues, are helping to navigate with this. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you make a point. I mean, you're essential workers, you're putting your life on the line. It's hard to have people be like, oh, this is so hard. I'm bored. I'm tired of watching Netflix. I mean, there's a lot of people that are really working very putting themselves in very dangerous positions. That has killed a lot of people. So, I mean, I definitely have nothing but the utmost respect for all of our essential workers and just kind of to anyone almost that age. If anyone wants to work, essential work. You know, if you're bored, you'll get a job to the essential worker and see how you like it. So, you know, it's definitely a taxing on everyone. And I'm excited now to have to kind of navigate us the teaching world and the future of schools and kind of what we're going to do and what teachers have been doing. And now every parent has kind of got a day in the life of a teacher, teach your kids at home, and the teacher knows that that's just every day.
Erica, help us. Just your secrets.
Well, I don't know, Roz, that I'm going to turn you into a better parent, so don't put too much on me.
Yeah, no, don't waste your breath. Don't waste your breath.
You lost the children's interest. They heard that and they left. And they're like, same old dad. But yeah, Erica, so tell us what you like.
Well, I think it's as crazy as most people right now, I think. And I think some of the things, and by the way, the parents have been amazing. You know, we've been getting a lot of support. There's a lot of Teacher Appreciation Week. We got a lot of good, props and support and that kind of stuff, which has been wonderful. But I think we all need to remember we're not in normal teaching, we're in crisis teaching. So everyone needs to give themselves a break a little bit. Especially the students. We talk a lot about the students and how it's such a unique world for them. And just like most of us, some mental health issues can get in the way too. And keeping yourself organized and parents that are managing jobs along with trying to get their kids taught. We're definitely in some challenging times. And I think the one thing we'll all agree on, whether you talk to bus drivers or cafeteria workers or administrators or teachers, community college to preschool, in-person learning is most definitely the best. There's really no real substitute for it. So we've been really creative though.
Well, I think that's probably where I'm lacking is kind of the creativity and engaging them. Because my whole thing is like, I don't go outside and play. Like, they're done with their learning. I have nothing for that. I try to find ways every now and then. I get them on like bikes and stuff. But how do you guys command that type of respect? Now, two of my three stepkids are just fine. But like I'm talking about, for instance, my 8-year-old, right? She will get off her conference call with her teachers where I have never seen that level of engagement or kind of love and admiration where she's talking with her friend, she's talking with her teacher, and she's just really engaged and drawn into what's going on. And you can actually tell how sad she is when it wraps up and she's like saying bye to her friends and everything. And that's when she'll come up to me and make me a parent in terms of, Dad, I'm bored. I got nothing to do. Dad, what do I do now? It's like, well, I don't know. Find a way to do it. Give myself, the other parents listening, should doing to make them proactive and to kind of empower them to find their own way and their own happiness during all this.
Oh yeah, I love the way you just said that because if we turn this into an opportunity, right? It's a parenting opportunity, and I think that's how most educators look at when we get thrown a curveball. Well, okay, how can this be a learning moment, a learning opportunity to make our kids more, a little more independent, a little more creative? So I think the number one thing with all of this remote learning is definitely a schedule. It's just amazing at every level of education how much kids need a schedule, even like my high school kids for sure. their schedules got very thrown off during all of this. Because we have more at the high school level. We have they're optional. We do Google Hangouts, and the attendance is pretty low. But then I get emails from them at midnight. So that's definitely been a shift.
They slept in, is what I'm taking that as. They slept in. They woke up at midnight.
Online community has been amazing about creative. There's the different museums that are offering up virtual museum searches, and you see the penguins going through all the different places, and just the artistic and creative. And there's music lessons, there's art lessons. So there's some good online community resources out there for parents.
Now, Erica, I've got a question for you. I don't know if this is across the state, but I know at least in the schools where we send our children, they kind of had something like your grades will not drop down below what they were when this crisis started. However, you have a potential to bring them up. How do you motivate kids now who are like, well, you know what? I was doing pretty good. I got a B+, A-, whatever it is, to keep working? I mean, how do you keep it from summer didn't start early for these kids, but continue to take advantage of the education you're getting?
So that's the magical question, especially I think at the high school level, because like you said, at the grade school level, these kids want to connect. They have a deep desire to connect with each other because there's no other place for them really to connect. But across the state of Illinois, so the Illinois School Board of Education deemed that their rule was that grades cannot drop, and the reason for that is a very legitimate reason. Is our lack of equity in education. We do not have an equitable educational system across the state, and kids do not have access to the technology that I think we're in, like DuPage County, we're really fortunate that most of our kids, we have kids that struggle with technology though too. So to motivate them when that's been an extreme challenge. Different districts were allowed, which I think is a good thing, districts were allowed to have their own situation. So we meet often in professional learning communities, and if professional learning communities made benchmarks and they worked together, so a couple of teachers would come together, say government teams at Glenbard, that's where I teach, would come together and make benchmarks where kids were required to do this. So that's kind of, I'll be honest, it was extremely difficult to get kids motivated. At the high school level, we got about a maybe 30% turnout rate on a good day of doing work. And we tried all kinds of different things. So it's been hard.
So Erica, where does this leave all these students with, with sports and, and all these scholarships? Has this affected any of these kids that have maybe moving forward into college with any athletic or, academic scholarships?
Yeah, I think it's been very challenging for kids. I mean, just in general, from a social emotional standpoint for all kids, but the spring sports and the spring performances. I mean, kids who've worked all 4 years on plays and musicals don't have their spring musical. So I think emotionally that's been really challenging. From a scholarship standpoint, my perception, because I actually have a couple kids that are moving on to college sports, is the colleges were still fulfilling a lot of things have been said already, so they're fulfilling their obligation to these students. I even had one student who's doing men's volleyball in college, and he said he actually has been able to do Google Hangouts and stuff with his future team. So he kind of looked at the positive of that. But it's a huge challenge on these kids, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost kind of sad. I mean, even all these high school seniors, I mean, no prom, no high school, kind of no diplomas and all this kind of all these years with their classmates to just kind of, that's it. It's done. You kind of got to move on.
Right. The milestones that we're also used to, that we've all kind of ingrained in ourselves as a benchmark of what it means to go through this education system. I mean, what do we do? What advice do you give?
Well, what I've been seeing in my district, and we have 4 high schools in my district, and then I live in Wheaton, so we have 2 high schools there. People are getting real creative, and it's really good to see. Administrators, like my administrator, used his
his t-shirt gun. We have like this goofy t-shirt gun thing that he usually does at pep assemblies. And he actually went to kids' houses and did it from the street. And then you have other teachers and support staff dropping off signs at kids' yards, drive-through graduation, videos like you've never seen, like really high production graduation videos. So I think people are trying to do the best they can. I think people are getting really creative and trying to make this as special as we can for the kids.
And so moving forward, where is everything going? I mean, what do you guys do? Do you guys kind of know what's going into this next school year? I mean, are schools looking to reopen? And if they do reopen, is it going to be every kid has to wear masks? I mean, how do you social distance high schools and grade schools? I mean, how does that even work?
Again, that's another magical question. So right now we are being told, the school districts are being told to make multiple plans, plan A, B, C, D, and E. The best possible scenario could be, that we go back. That doesn't sound likely since there is no vaccine for this. We don't even have enough testing going on. And just think of a lunchroom, a high school lunchroom is probably the worst place for this. So some of the suggestions have been, you do classes half the size, you do 16 kids to a class. Trying to get to meet in person once again. I think everyone's trying to get that way. So it could be partial in person, partial online. And then, you have the grade schools are going to be a challenge too, because how do you regulate kids to stop hugging each other, when they're all together?
Yeah. I mean, these are serious challenges that I don't think any state was ever ready to prepare for this. I don't know if anyone was really ready to have such kind of a culture shock to happen the way that it did.
Well, and how quickly it happened too. I was talking to my kids who said they just had to leave all their personal belongings there. And as a matter of fact, the teacher is going into their school system and on a Zoom meeting, holding stuff up. Who does this belong to? Who does that belong to? It was a situation that happened so quickly that in how it changed our world that we're just having to find ways to now deal with the aftermath.
Right. And there are stories all over the place, and I experienced it myself. I had my time slot that I went back to my room and packed up just last week, and my room still I have a birthday board where I put kids' birthdays, and I saw March 16th, some kid's birthday, and I'm like, oh, I missed his birthday. It's little stuff like that that's challenging and kind of heartbreaking. And the other piece with going back in the fall, I think it makes it extra complicated in our society is, like you said earlier, so many people are working. I mean, we were on a call, the National Education Association had a call, and Senator Kamala Harris was on, and she quoted some statistics that I would imagine are true, but anywhere about approximately 20% of African American parents say they could stay home from work if their kids had to stay home. 30% of Caucasian parents said they could stay home. So, I mean, people can't stay home from work. And so, schools are educating and they're in the business of learning and teaching, but in our current system, we also provide babysitting for the day.
Well, like I was saying before, with in the society, especially in America, where I mean, how many families have both parents working? I mean, the mother and the father are both working to kind of provide. I mean, how do you do this? Or now you're a single mother that has to stay home and work, and now you have to raise your kid, and now you don't have the luxury of maybe babysitters or your grandparents to come help out because nobody wants to get near each other. So, I mean, there's so many challenges in the way of people trying to make a good living, but also having their kids stay educated and like we were talking earlier, like Raza said, stay motivated. I mean, you want to make sure these kids don't lose that scheduling and that day-to-day and just kind of fall into bad habits.
And I think actually this will be something we'll get back to right after our commercial break, because I think we got another round of breaks. But
Absolutely.
That is something that I want to talk about. And even the psychological effect of, do you encourage kids to dress up like they're going to school? Because a lot of times I think when they stay in their pajamas, they're not learning quite as much. And this is something that we will talk about with you, Erica, as soon as we come back from these commercial breaks.
Life, Love, and the Grind is proudly sponsored by Rich Lewandowski and our friends at Breaker Press, Chicagoland's top choice for union printing. We're a third-generation family-owned business that has been helping unions and political campaigns win since 1976. We've been involved in hundreds of winning elections, and we get our printed materials to you on time and on budget every time. Whether you're running for the courthouse or the White House, we will take you from concept to design and from print to mail or your supporters' front yards. Breaker Press can help you reach the voters you need. Call Rich at 773-852-5733 or email rich@breakerpress.com. For all of your political printing needs, visit us at breakerpress.com.
All right, if you're just tuning in, you're Life, Love, and the Grind with Sean and Raza, and we're hearing from Erica Bray Parker, 26-year high school teacher, IEA member, and you currently serve as IEA Region 32 chair, and you're the IEA Board of Directors. So tell us about what's kind of been going on with, what's kind of the outlook of all these IEA members, and being a Board of Directors, what does that kind of entail?
So as in the Illinois Education Association, we're divided into regions. And so I was elected to region chair. And what that means is I cover Glenbard, Charles DuPage, some Carroll Stream, some Glen Ellen schools. So it's a pretty diverse region. And then there's 7 locals in the region. And then I meet once a month as a board. We skipped a month because of COVID, and now we've met as a result of through Zoom meetings, basically. And so we represent our members just like any other union. We vote on anything from our dues to policy. And what has actually been happening over the last 2 months with all of this, I think one of the most difficult things for educators and administration and school systems is the rules kept shifting, right? On March 13th, we thought we were going to be gone for 2 weeks and come back. And then that shifted, and then we found out we're not coming back at all. And now there's talk about who knows what's going to happen in the fall. So what's been very helpful is the IEA has been tons of communication coming out. They meet very regularly with the ISCE and some of the administrative unions and the ISP. So there's a lot of really good, positive, collaborative work coming out of that. And I think that's been really beneficial right now. Our big push, because now, people are pretty safe and we've contained this from a medical health perspective. But now, like everyone else, we're shifting to revenues, and there's fear about, pretty logical fear, about revenues dropping. And that's how schools pay for things, right?
Absolutely.
We have a huge push right now for the stimulus package. We need a stimulus package, or we will not have the funds to do what we need to do, especially in the fall with the uncertainty and all that's going on. So,
teachers have always kind of taken a beating over the years, right? I mean, how do you feel now about letting kind of the public and the parents have kind of a firsthand look of what it really is like for a day-to-day of being a teacher, of having to, homeschool your kids and get them ready and prepared? I mean, do you kind of have a sense of kind of at least a little satisfaction of saying, hey, you know what? Teachers are a very, very hard job. You guys put in long hours and you're dealing with all these children. Do you think that kind of the public's perception of teachers is going to shift coming out of all this?
Well, yeah, I guess I would not have wished this on anyone. However, it has been encouraging to get those, even just from my friends and neighbors, to online social media, the positive statements about, yeah, this is really difficult. Oh my gosh, I can't believe, and the unique things that teachers are doing right now to try and keep the kids engaged on the Zoom meeting, the memes they're making, the videos they're doing, the online communication of teachers from across the country sharing different lessons. It impresses me, and I've always been impressed. So it's nice to have that. I hope it continues because, like I said, the revenue is going to start to go away. And what we're also learning is we need our support staff. So our support professionals are essential, especially right now. I mean, we have some staff actually going to kids' homes because that's what needs to be done to move them forward.
So what kind of support would they get when they go forward? Like, what do they do when they come home? And then again, I also want to talk about how you envision parents can encourage children. Should they be wearing kind of clothes like they would be going to school? What kind of mental tricks can we do to help them have some sense of normalcy throughout this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So some of our support personnel, we have quite a few students with individual education plans. So that's under federal guidance, federal law, so under the Department of Education. And so there are students that require direct minutes and things with speech, anything from speech therapists to physical therapy to even mental health issues. And we've had the administrators from all the buildings I'm aware of have actually physically gone to kids' homes because they're not engaging. So they've been identified by our social workers, and they're not engaging in online learning at all. We've got nothing from them. So they go do a wellness check. So those are the kind of things that are happening. As far as how parents structure, I actually do think, but don't blame me when your kid's mad at you for getting dressed. But I do think all those little things of setting up a space, a kid needs a desk, a schedule for sure, probably out of their pajamas, although, by afternoon, I don't, maybe start a little bit later is okay, but a schedule, a desk, a quiet place is important too. So there's not just the distractions, I think, as well, which is complicated for some families, big families in small places.
Well, I mean, it's definitely, and everyone's different, right? My sister's, mother of 6 children. I mean, after a while, that kind of becomes a lot of chaos. You're trying to have these kids learn, have school, eat, you're running around trying to work. I mean, it's definitely a taxing thing. I mean, how long can we go on like this? I mean, could this survive another year of not going back to school, another 6 months?
I don't know that any expert has spoken to that, and I'm no, educational expert, just a professional. I think if the schools are able to safely get kids back in some manner, even if it's a part-time, they will do that because, again, hands down, in-person, one-on-one contact with kids is essential. So I think it's going to take a lot of creative heads coming together this summer and figuring that out. Right now, it seems like a lot of the schools, we're still ending the year, so there's still a lot to be done. But there'll be some hardcore conversations this summer to figure out what to do in the fall.
Absolutely. So in 2019, you got elected. Congratulations as a councilwoman out in Wheaton. So how important is it? I'm elected out in Lisle Township. I'm a trustee. I'm an essential worker. Sarah Sadat's elected. I mean, how important do you think it is for essential workers to run for office and to kind of hold these, political offices kind of for the future of these essential workers that I, said earlier? I mean, we love our essential workers. We call them heroes. We're, all getting all emotional talking about them. But how important is it for these essential workers to now have better benefits, better wages, better salaries? I mean, is it important for essential workers to run for these political offices to kind of fight for the betterment of workers? What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I think we would all agree. Yes, yes, and yes. The more diverse an elected body can be, the better. And that diversity includes the essential workers you're talking about. It includes union people. It includes all kinds of different backgrounds because you want to represent your community, and all of our communities have diverse populations. I hope no one gets offended by this, but we're not all lawyers. You just seem to find there's this stereotype of people, locally elected people being lawyers, which is great, but they need to, you need to have a more diverse voice on these decision-making bodies. And I think that is being exposed. So many things are being exposed by our current crisis, and that's one of them for sure.
Yeah, I hope moving forward we all kind of come out of this and have just a better respect for our teachers, for our essential workers, and really when push comes to shove, and when it comes time to give these people what they deserve, I hope as a society and a public we kind of fight for the people that matter. That we stand behind them so well now. But let's see how we come out of this in 6 months or a year.
Well, another thing I was thinking is you often see these things for Fight for 15. You see things and people are so quick to criticize them and put down what they're trying to do. But I think this has really signified the importance of not only fair wages, but of sick time pay, especially for gig workers, freelancers. I think this has really put the situation in a perspective where we can see what it is we're fighting for and what it is that people deserve just in terms of having quality of life. And what do you think about that?
Yeah, just sorry, when you said quality of life, that I would, it'd be great if we could have a national holiday of reflection at the end of all this, or when we get close. Maybe that should be in Governor Pritzker's phase 3. We all just have a national day of reflection and what is essential and what is the quality of life and how are we treating our people? Because this call to get back to work I completely understand it, but who is it that we're saying has to get back to work, and how are those workers treated, and what are their wages, and what's their health care, and what's their quality of life?
Yeah, well, this is definitely the best eye-opening experience that everyone should see. And this is a good opportunity for everyone who maybe looked down on those workers before can think, oh, wow, you know what? These people all matter. I mean, society runs on workers. I mean, working people make this whole country and this world go round and round. And I hope when push comes to shove that everyone stands behind working people and kind of brings us more together. There's been a lot of division, a lot of divisiveness. I hope that we all kind of come together as Americans and just working people. I mean, the 99%ers that are out there making this country great, working hard for the people, I really hope that they get what they deserve when we come out of this. And hopefully everyone has a profound respect for these workers. What do you think, Raza?
Well, I can't, I always forget if it's overstate or understate, but can't say enough that I 100% agree with what you're saying. This is really given an opportunity to showcase what it is that people are out there doing to keep society running smoothly, and the people have really stepped up and to keep that sense of normalcy, whether it's someone serving you a meal at a restaurant when you're going through a drive-through, whether it's someone at Target who's really not only doing their regular job, but as we said before, enforcing the current health quota, reminding people to wear their masks, stepping up and doing more duties. It just reminds you that these are all the people who are out there. And speaking of the people who are out there, Erica, thank you very much. And again, I just want to thank Devin. I want to thank Paul. I want to thank everyone who's at the station while Sean and I kind of do this show freely, who are keeping us on the air and keeping you guys out there listening to what we're doing. There's people out there who are out there keeping everything running smoothly.
Absolutely. And you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Life, Love, and the Grind. If you want to hear this episode of Erica Bray Parker, you can go on Facebook and it'll be up all week and you can check out this episode. We really appreciate you coming on, Erica. I think it was very insightful and we appreciate all that you do for everybody.
Well, thank you very much. And we'll be signing off here. And again, thank you as well to Paul. Paul, once we fade out, if you can just turn our mics down. We want to talk to our Facebook viewers who can always, and anyone listening can listen to us at Life, Love, and the Grind, where we'll continue the conversation. Thank you very much, Erica. And so if you are just wrapping up with us, this is how we get the radio going on WCPT. This is a reminder that Sean, myself, are on here. We have our radio show regularly, but we also want to thank you as our viewers who have been very loyal to us as we've continued throughout this Facebook endeavor. And more and more, I think it's very important for us to get the information out as to what it is we're doing. This can be trying times, I think, for a lot of us in terms of friendships, in terms of relationships, trying to see how we can continue that sense of normalcy. So I think it's very important that we stay in touch with you. Sean, anything you'd like to say about that to our Facebook audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to just thank everyone for tuning in, obviously. And if you do have any questions, if you have any guest ideas, you can always comment on our Facebook post. You can email us. And we're always looking for incredible guests. We've had a lot, including today, Erica Bray Parker. I mean, I love the insight on teaching and just kind of the future of the schools. I mean, this is very taxing on everybody, but we're all going to get through it, and we're going to come out a lot stronger. So.
Absolutely. And you can always listen to us every Sunday, 3:00 on WCPT 820. And again, part of the reason we wanted to continue this past the show is to thank you guys, our loyal viewers, listeners who have been with us every step of the way. This has been a trying time for everyone in general. And it's something we need to acknowledge. Like, you look at the background here. We're doing the studio from our house, the safety of our house for, the benefit and health of everyone. We'd be remiss, like I said, if we didn't thank all the people at WCPT who are keeping everything going. And I wanted to also acknowledge them. The art of communication is not one that's simple. There's a lot of technology that goes into it. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And we want to thank everyone who makes that happen. Sean, what's one of the things you've learned throughout this process?
I don't know, man. I learned that I need to drink more.
9
weeks without vodka, I learned I got to have a drink. So,
and you know what? Sometimes, and this is what I want to remind you of, we can be a lot more real and a lot more comfortable sometimes off the air and just talking and dialoguing amongst ourselves. Because at the end of the day, Sean, Sarah, me, and all of you, we're all friends, family. And at the end of the day, we got to keep connected and keep this sense of community. Because even though we're technically living in these silos and physically separated, we all got each other's back. So, we want to take this minute after the show to remind you guys of that, and thank you for tuning in every week.
Yeah, thank you.